afternoon from Los Angeles and happy Friday. Welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the charts of Lockheed Martin as well as Vertex Pharmaceuticals and Coupa Software. But first, we want to take a look at the major indexes as always. It's Alyssa Quorum here, joined by Ken Shreve. And Ken, we did see pretty substantial losses across the board today. All the major indexes down around 7 to 0.8% each, though a little bit off of the worst lows of the day. But can you comment on a little bit of the action that we saw this session?
Yeah, so it looks like we ended with losses of about 0.7% to 0.8%. And I got to tell you, though, below the surface, we did see some selling in the semiconductor sector. We saw some selling in software. But at last check, this benchmark software ETF that we follow, the IGV, that was only down about 0.3% today. So, saw actually a lot of growth stocks acting well, showing resilience. So I think overall, it was a down session, but a lot of positives below the surface.
Yeah, which we will definitely get to. We are seeing the NASDAQ right now still finding support at that 10-day line. The 21-day average is another level that we've also been looking. So even with this somewhat substantial selling underneath the surface, like you said, there's still a lot of good action among growth stocks.
Again, we've come a long way since we saw that sign of strength in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 in mid-October, specifically October 15th. And to see the NASDAQ today, like you said, just test its 10-day moving average. It closed above the 9,000 level. Futures were down about 1.5%, 1.6%, something like that. I know the NASDAQ hit an intraday low of 1.2, 1.3%. So we did get a close off lows. And again, when it comes to individual stocks, there was actually a lot of healthy action. We're looking on leaderboard, names like NVIDIA, Advanced Micro Devices really didn't move much today. So they were resilient, two big leaders in the chip sector. So, but yeah, we got some stocks to talk about.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Lockheed Martin. That stock gaining about 3.6% for the day. Heavy volume, of course, defense stocks moving today, given all of the news of the airstrike killing a high-profile person in the Middle East. And let's take a look at Lockheed's chart here, extending gains after a strong session the day before.
Yeah, it actually cleared, Lockheed cleared 396.05 buy point Thursday, but again, defense stocks just really took off on the news of this U.S. Drone strike in Iraq that really, killed a top Iranian military leader. But broad-based strength in the group. Lockheed Martin, good breakout, had bullish gaps up for Northrop Grumman, LH Harris. It's really broad-based strength. So good day for defense stocks. And looks like Lockheed might have closed pretty close to that 5% buy zone from the 396.05 entry, but solid day for defense stocks.
Right. I guess that's the follow-up question here for our audience who's looking at this and missed that opportunity to get in. How do you play it from here? Do you look at an ETF? Do you look at another name? Do you look at an alternate entry coming up for this name?
Well, I think the very liquid ETF for defense stocks is XAR, and I know that ended the session still in buy range. So if people want to participate in the defense sector, XAR is a good ETF to look at.
All right, and moving on, let's take a look at Vertex Pharmaceuticals, which is testing support at its 10-week moving average. This stock really having a big run from the end of October through November. It's been trading sideways, and this is the first test of the 10-week since its breakout.
Yeah, really just a picture-perfect example of what a test of the 10-week moving average looks like after a nice breakout from a consolidation. So, Vertex is really acted like a lot of stocks in the market, weak early, but closed in the top half of its range, so there were definitely buyers around. We'll see what a test of the 10-week line looks like here, but this is a very healthy chart in the stock market now, and one of my favorite biotechs.
Yeah, and in terms of adding to a position or even buying here, what do you want to see from here? A strong rebound off of the 10-week from here?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it closed lower for the week, not by much. So you really just want to see a nice bounce with conviction. When a stock, sometimes, stocks either test support or they find support. So this still looks like a test because it did not bounce with conviction off the line, but it's just a good solid test right now. Low volume this week after a series of heavy volume weekly price gains. So this is a good solid test. Eventually you want to see a nice bounce off the support level and move to new highs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that out of that hot sector. And moving on, let's take a look at a name in the enterprise software group, Coupa Software, staging a breakout today, gaining about 4% above average turnover here. Now, we've been keeping an eye on this cup with handle base. So what are your thoughts on this breakout for a name in a group that had been struggling towards the second half of last year, but some names are now starting to strengthen?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call Coupa the leader in the enterprise software group. I mean, we've been kind of pounding the table on IBD Live, ServiceNow, Paylocity. Right. Really a lot of Splunk is another one that Mike Webster's been talking a lot about. But I think it's important to note Coupa's price action today because it was a nice solid breakout over a 155.87 buy point today. Again, the software stocks today very, very impressive, along with the chip stocks as well. So typically when you get a harsh down session for the market, it's not surprising to see some of your leading groups and leading sectors under the most pressure. And chip stocks were definitely under more pressure than software names today. But again, very limited damage when it comes to leading stocks in each group. So Coupa Software, nice breakout today. Overall, very positive action in the software sector.
Right. Some great insights there. And for more like that in an even more in-depth and long-form format, make sure you're checking out IBD Live. You can catch all the details at investors.com/IBD Live. But while Ken's here, I want him to talk a little bit more about what our audience is getting with IBD Live in this hour-plus long daily session with in-depth chart analysis each and every morning.
Well, it was great having you on the show this morning. It was nice. Me, you, Mike, and
yes, a lot of fun.
Ed Carson,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the defense stocks got a lot of discussion today. Talked about Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, LH3 Harris. A lot of action in the defense stocks. And again, every morning we go on the air 10 minutes before the market opens. So I'll tell you, when earnings season kicks into gear in mid-January, there's going to be a lot to talk about. But even as we headed into the end of the year, typically a pretty quiet time for the market. There was no shortage of stocks to talk about. So, always actionable setups out there, and
exactly.
Just trying to help people make money.
Yeah, I love that we focus on those actionable insights, and also, especially now, given the run that we've seen over the last couple of months, really getting in depth of what you should be looking at for the broader market and how to position your portfolio given the current market conditions.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we were watching with futures down so sharply in the early going before the open, we were really interested to see what the software stocks and what the chip stocks, some of the big leaders in the market, were gonna look like. But we were very encouraged to see fairly tame selling in both areas of the market, and of course the outperformance of defense stocks today is, like I said, there were a lot of bright spots in today's session, despite some pretty stiff losses.
That's right. And again, make sure you check out investors.com/IBD Live for your free trial if you haven't already. And you can also check out our content across social media, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter. Twitter is definitely where we are the most active in being interactive with our audience. So make sure you tweet us. We would love to hear from you. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you right back here next week.